Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Syriana Analysis. I'm your host, Kyo Kalmasian. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's live streaming. I appreciate you all, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Rumble, and Rumble will be a little bit later. As I read the chat, some people thought that I have invited her on the show. I haven't, of course. I'm not going to do that. Not because she is a Zionist and not because she is pro-Israel and not because she is an anti-Iranian Islamic revolution, let's say in this case, or because she tried to threaten Mohammad Marandi. However, I don't think that her presence on the show would bring anything good, whether to the conversation or to the debate or to the literature of the Iranian conflict. And also for you, out of respect for you, I mean, what are you going to learn from her and what I'm going to speak to her? Like on this channel, we don't really discuss with people who are hysterical, people who threaten each other, people who are crazy, right? And I think she is crazy. If you watched her, what she did yesterday on Piers Morgan show, and the threats she declared publicly on social media platforms, those are indications that she is not like stable, right? Like, do you really think that I'm going to invite someone unstable? So those who already said that they are going to unsubscribe to Syriana Analysis, if I have had this conversation with her, I hope next time, before making blunt and bold statements, I hope that you would read the description first of the video before making such statements, and also encouraging other people to leave the channel, because on this channel we discuss ideas and we discuss with people also with whom we disagree. And I personally hosted people with whom I disagreed, and you guys disagreed, and I told you this is a thought-provoking conversation, because as long as the other side is bringing analysis and geopolitical perspective, which is in par of the level of Syriana Analysis, then they're welcomed. But people like this Goldie Gamari, she's not fit for Syriana Analysis. That's why we don't have her on this show. Long story short, my friends, today we are going to discuss how the mainstream media and also the so-called activists on social media platforms are propagating and peddling harsh, let's say, information warfare against the Islamic Republic of Iran, not out of love for the Islamic Republic of Iran, but to tell you how dishonest these people are with their demands and how they're dishonest with their approach, and whether or not they are really interested in democracy and human rights in Iran. In my humble experience in the past 14 to 15 years, since I started my, let's say, journalistic career, let's put it between brackets, I have dealt with countless of mainstream journalists. I have met personally with journalists. I have given statements. I've been on BBC. I've been on Deutsche Welle. I've been on many mainstream media outlets. For those who would like to see, they can go and check. All these are still archived and they are still online. I was a kiddo. My English was bad in any ways, but I was giving them statements. I was participating on the show because I thought that the problem with the mainstream media is that they don't know what is going on. Therefore, if they don't know, they cannot really possibly report correctly on the events, for example, in Syria. And this started with the CNN in 2011 with Hala Gorani. It started with Wall Street Journal correspondent in Beirut in 2012. It also developed into a very famous debate, which was held in Cairo in 2013. I think this was in April 2013. And this was a joint project between the Deutsche Welle, DW, the German channel, and also the BBC. So I was invited to the American University of Cairo, and I participated as a debater with the moderator and back in the day, Syrian opposition figure, to discuss whether the Assad is a better, let's say, leader for Syria compared to the alternatives that we had back in the day in 2013. And during all these conversations and all these, let's say, experiences I had with the mainstream press, including afterwards, I can assure you after all these experiences that the problem is not that these journalists do not know what is going on. The problem is much deeper. The problem is structural in the mainstream press itself, in the editorial line, in the people who fund these media outlets, in the people who work in these media outlets, and in the people who are in the shadows giving instructions for these media outlets, including government and non-governmental people who have billions of dollars ready to fund these media outlets. And ask yourself the question, why would a billionaire like Elon Musk buy X? Why would a billionaire like Jeff Bezos buy American newspapers, and why would other billionaire like Larison or Arison buy TikTok, and why others would fund the CNN, the BBC, the Guardian, the Deutsche Welle? Why all these billionaires, tech billionaires, oligarchs, governments, non-government organizations, Bill Gates, etc., would fund the media outlet? Because these outlets form perceptions and public opinion of the people. And the public opinion of the people is important for them in order to try to persuade them and make them accept or manufacture consent about their own projects for their own sake, be this project is a technological, it's a social, it's environmental, it is food, it is medication, it is pandemic, it is war, etc., etc., etc. So I've had a lot of interactions with journalists in the mainstream press, and I do believe they are honest and people with integrity in the mainstream press. All I'm saying is structurally, these organizations are compromised. And even if someone has integrity with an objective, they cannot really do their job. Therefore, my personal opinion is whether these journalists who work for the mainstream press like it or not, they are serving people who have special agendas, and those agendas do not usually align with our interest, the public, right? Therefore, I always say the people who are, let's say, very famous in the press nowadays, like Clarissa Ward, Hala Gorani, Piers Morgan, Christian Amanpour, etc., etc., etc. Those people are willfully serving the people who are behind these corporations, because remember, someone like Piers Morgan, or someone like Clarissa Ward, or someone like Christian Amanpour, they are too big already in the public consciousness, informing public consciousness, whether in the United States or Britain or in Germany, etc. And they are capable simply to leave these organizations and go and do their own business. They have already made lots of money. They can make their own businesses, private businesses, or simply report from their offices or go to conflict zones and report independently because they have a mass following. But they don't do that. They continue working for these mass corporate media outlets because they are willfully serving the interests of the people who fund these media outlets. This is my impression. So when we really accept the fact that these people are dishonest, we will understand why Piers Morgan yesterday basically tried to trap Professor Mohammad Marandi. And Professor Mohammad Marandi is someone that we respect because he always, even if we disagreed with him on certain things, he always comes from a respectful position. He tries to explain his position eloquently. He doesn't smear you. He doesn't call you names, etc. So even if you disagree with him, you cannot really wish him harm, right? However, yesterday, Piers Morgan tried to play this dishonest role, let's say, with Marandi, and he invited Marandi to his show again for the 1,000th times already. And his producers basically told him that this is a one-on-one debate with none other than Piers Morgan. However, Piers Morgan tried, as I said, to trap Marandi by inviting someone else, and this someone else is this woman, Goldie Gamari, in order to smear Marandi. Let's start watching this conversation.
To show footage of the protests in Tehran against the rioters. And this is from the middle of the footage. This is Engelab Square. It goes from Imam Hussein Square to Azadi Square, from Engelab Square south to Imam Khomeini Square. That is millions of people. That is huge. Anyone can look on the map or use DeepSeek or some other AI app and check what sort of distance this is. This is a helicopter. But
all right,
just a few hours ago.
Just to stop you there, Professor O'May, just to be clear, that's footage you've supplied. We've been unable to independently verify it, so it is what it is. Clearly, there are people, it seems from all the independent reports I've read, who are... Okay, so Goldie, for example, one of our panelists is saying that footage is from 2020. So we don't know what you're showing us there.
First of all, I personally do not know if this footage is from 2020 or 2025, but I will assume that it is from 2025 and this is new, because if this was an old footage, then tracking it back, if it's already online, you can track it back. It's very easy nowadays to do very simple investigation on your engine, on Google, for example. Take a screenshot of the video and search for the history of this video. Even you can do something called like a mirror video or reverse video, and there are websites in which you can upload the video and it could search whether or not this video is old or not, if this was published in anywhere else. But they're not doing that because this footage, I assume it's new. And had they had any evidence that this was old, he would have now brought it to the conversation and told him, Professor Marandi, look, Habibi, you say this is new, but here it is. This is on the website A or website B or website C. Yes, Google Images does that, as our friend says in the chat. It's very easy, right? But they don't do it. They're just trying to give the impression that they say, but we have different conflicting reports that this is old. I will assume 99% that this is new. This is not old.
You accept that?
No, that's a dishonest take. That footage is very clear. This misinformation is being produced by the West, and the reporter who was on that helicopter, whose face is there, he came on television, showed the footage. I was at the protest. There were millions of people. What you are trying to do, just like you did during the Israeli regime's attack on Iran, is you are trying to help war. Because when the Israeli regime carried out that blitzkrieg attack, as we were negotiating with them, you invited me and started bad-mouthing Iran. Why? Because you and many others like you.
No, I didn't bad-mouth Iran. Sorry, just to be clear.
Oh, yes, you did.
Just to be clear. Hang on. Professor, just to be clear, I never bad-mouthed Iran. I bad-mouthed the Iranian regime, which I think is one of the most malevolent regimes in the world. That's not bad-mouthing the country of Iran or the Iranian people. Now, I want to bring in Goldie Gamari because she wants to directly challenge.
Look, now they brought her to the show. They didn't tell him that she's coming to the show. And this person, regardless of what you think of her, she's not fit for debate with Marandi. Marandi is a respectable person. He's an academic. He's a professor. He's in a political analysis, commentary. And this woman is basically a social media figure. She does TikTok videos, 30 seconds. She uses slurs, uses very dirty tactics, basically, right? So this is the most dishonest thing that Piers Morgan has done in the past years, I would say. And this woman has not even set foot in Iran in her entire life. She never lived in Iran. And I will show you a few things about her now soon. But this is one of the most dishonest things that Piers Morgan has done.
She wants to directly challenge what you have said.
One-on-one.
Yes,
you said
that's
it's
fine.
A one-on-one.
That's fine.
Your producer,
but you've accused her.
You did not allow me to continue.
Fine, but you have.
Your producer said.
Yes.
It's a one-on-one between you and me.
Yes.
You're escaping the debate.
Hang on.
No, she's talking now in Persian, probably cursing him.
Hang on, Goldie. Hang on, Goldie. Hang on, please. Don't all talk at once. Professor Marandi. Professor Marandi.
You and me.
Professor Marandi. Let me. Goldie, please let me.
Somebody in the chat says Marandi is a mouthpiece of genocidal mullahs. I don't see at all that Iran has committed a genocide, but do you know who is a mouthpiece of a genocide? This woman on the right side, and I will show you why later. So stay tuned for that if you are so caring about genocide, sir.
Handle this. Professor Marandi, here's why I brought Goldie back into the conversation with you.
No, so you're being dishonest.
Because she says to us, have you watched that footage?
He should have left, by the way. Mohammad Marandi, our friend, if you're listening, if you're watching this, he should have left this conversation. Because this is very dishonest that they invite you to the show and then they bring her up without telling you that there is a second guest, especially a type of an activist like her.
It is actually not what you have said it is. Goldie, tell the professor what you believe that footage is.
That footage is from Qasem Soleimani's funeral in 2020. That is not footage from today. That is 100% propaganda. The Islamic regime, they are liars. They are murderers. They are thieves.
She's talking like a robot here, right? Like she just swallowed, when we say in Arabic, لما الواحد بيبلع شو بيقولوا اسطوانة cassette, like somebody swallows a cassette, you know, like it's like rewinding itself, the same things over and over again.
I don't even know how he has access to the internet right now. The internet is shut off. The internet is shut off. Where is he communicating from?
Okay, now here.
He's communicating because they have given an internet to the journalists in Iran. Many journalists are posting, those are accredited journalists in Iran. They are posting videos on X, on Twitter, on Instagram. I think not Meta, but on X for sure. One of our friends says, Goldie Gamari, Canadian politician who was formerly a member of the provincial parliament, MPP, for the riding of Carleton in the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. Yes, but she's more than that. I'm going to come back to her.
I just want to remind you that your producer said this is a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And like on previous occasions, you do not abide by what you say you'll do.
Well, you made a statement. You made a statement and gave us footage, which one of our panelists has directly challenged.
But just to respond, in the General Qasem Soleimani's funeral, the bodies were on trucks, and there are no trucks in this crowd. And the crowd goes from Imam Hussein Square, which is to the top, towards the top. The crowd here goes all the way to Imam Hussein Square. The bodies never went there. The bodies began, the funeral procession began at the University of Tehran. So the path of the General Soleimani funeral and his companions was not towards Imam Hussein. And here, where are the trucks?
I mean, Marandi is explaining something so internal and domestic, and he's explaining the streets where the funeral happened and where this demonstration has happened. And this woman has no clue because she has never been to Tehran before. She has never stepped foot inside Iran.
Where's the funeral procession? Because it was not just him. There were a number of people who were murdered. Don't pretend. No one can pretend that the rallies yesterday, which took place across Iran, in Mashhad, in Tabriz, in Marandi, in Esfahan.
The footage rally, all been debunked.
This Piers, if you next, I won't come again on your show because every time you're dishonest.
You will be able to come again on the show because when Iran is free, we're going to get
to be fair, let me explain.
Oh, she's telling Marandi that he's a terrorist and he's a murderer.
Goldie, let me explain.
People on your hands right now.
Goldie, I will come back to Goldie and the panel in a moment. I'll go back to one-on-one.
So, I don't like to respond to people who say she's hot or something, but I would like to say one thing. Even if a woman physically is a 10 out of 10, and if she is deranged like this, she's zero. She's zero, right? And she is a zero because she's deranged. As you can see, this is her own Instagram account, which I checked, and she tells here Marandi, she says, just a second, every single last one of you Nazi Islamic terrorists, we will get you all. So she's calling Marandi a Nazi, an Islamic terrorist, and she's vowing to get them all, meaning like what? Execution? This is the same style of the Jolanists, of the Daesh, ISIS people who made all these threats against me. There are videos after videos, posts after posts, tweets after tweets, people vowing to execute me and calling me a terrorist, calling me an Assad mouthpiece, and calling me all sorts of names. And this is the exact same script they're using against Marandi. And Marandi, since he lives in Iran, probably I'm saying he's safer in Iran at the current moment. Had she been in the West, in Europe, or in the United States, rest assured that this type of smearing and this type of demonizing of Marandi, it could end up in killing Marandi. Because what they're doing is they are dehumanizing him. They're stripping away his academic title. They're stripping away his independent voice, basically. They're stripping away his personal opinion. They're calling him a terrorist. And if somebody is a terrorist, then what do you do with a terrorist? You kill them, right? So this is the pre-phase. This is like a preparation for killing Marandi, basically. And had he been outside of Iran, I would assume that they would have tried to kill him. And this is her again. And why I'm showing you, just to show you who is this woman and how deranged she is. She says, this is Mohammad Marandi. He is the Joseph Goebbels of the terrorist Islamic dictatorship. Today on Piers Morgan show, I told Mohammad to his face that when Iran is free, listen to this, guys. She told Mohammad that when Iran is free, the tip of his pinky finger will be the biggest piece of him after we Iranians are done with him. Guys, this is like, this is ISIS talking, right? This is ISIS talking. The tip of his pinky finger will be the biggest piece of him after we Iranians are done with him. And why doesn't X remove this post? Isn't this incitement against violence and killing? Yes, but X is just like any other big tech company. They are pro-Israel. The owner of X is Elon Musk. He's embedded with the Zionist lobby. And they have basically changed the flag of Iran on X from the current flag of the Islamic Republic of Iran into the monarchist flag. And that's, in my opinion, silly, something silly to do. Meanwhile, when the war, there is no war yet against Iran. The regime is still there, or the government is still there, and it is impossible to believe that this government could crumble anytime soon. So why are they doing that? Why are they normalizing a different flag? And in any ways, when you as an outlet tell the people that you are clearly against, on the opposite side of the Islamic Republic of Iran, then if somebody is making such threats on X, especially if she is embedded with the Israel lobby, then you will tolerate that, which means there are no equal rules for everyone on X. So if there is someone who thought that Elon Musk may bring equal treatment for everyone on X, I'm sure you're disappointed now. And I will go one step further and show you again how deranged this woman is. And this is something that she posted and then she deleted, and this is a cartoon of her on she posted on her account. She says, "You are first on my list," and I'm sure she means the kill list. And they call her Iranian lioness, and she has never been to Iran. She has not participated in any Iranian political life. Nobody knew her until yesterday. And she says, when we catch you, the biggest part left of you will be the tip of your finger. And they think that this is something like good, and they have to post it on social media platforms. And I have to say something very clear about Professor Marandi, whether you agree with him or not, and I have publicly disagreed with him on Nagorno-Karabakh. I mentioned it in the previous stream. I have disagreed with him on Iran's handling of Lebanon when the assassinations happened. I disagreed with him on the Syrian file in the last few months. In any ways, despite our political disagreements or the approach disagreements, or call it whatever you like, one thing is very undeniable. Marandi has always argued, and he explained his case with composure and respect all the time, even with his enemies. He doesn't do name calling, he doesn't do cheap slander. But what we're seeing here with this woman is something else entirely. She's basically threatening to dismember a university professor, basically ISIS style, and calling it freedom and democracy. But this is nothing but short of barbarism. And if this is the political culture she's offering, then she's not opposing extremism and terrorism as she claims. She's mimicking terrorism and extremism, right? And if she thinks that this type of message is meant probably to resonate with other people or to attract supporters for her case, the monarchist case, I think it's only exposing how deranged and bankrupt the camp she belongs to has become, right? It's completely counterproductive. And she didn't stop only with Marandi. She also threatened Cenk Uygur. She says, don't worry, when the regime is over, we will come after you.
Let me ask Rob a question. Hey, is Israeli puppet, hold on a second. Okay? Can I ask Rob a
All right,
question?
don't talk over each other.
Yeah, Israeli
when the
puppet.
regime is
Don't
done,
talk
blah,
over
blah,
each
blah.
other, please.
Okay, hey, Rob, when you do enough military...
Don't worry, when the regime is over, we will come after you. Habibti, you can't do anything for Marandi or to Cenk Uygur. If they use only their 5 fingers and you use both of your hands and both of your feet, you cannot really do anything for Marandi or to Cenk Uygur. And God help, if you're married, God help him. If you have a boyfriend, God be with him. Because this type of women, as we say in Arabic, kharaban bait, they would destroy your home. She's deranged, simply. Guys, as you're watching this stream, if you are liking the stream, the commentaries, the analysis on this channel, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like, thumbs up as you're watching this stream. We are not yet over. We still have 30-40 minutes. And please subscribe also to Syriana Analysis as you're watching. We have now 828 people watching this only on YouTube. I would really appreciate it if you simply hit the like button and subscribe to Syriana Analysis. So who is this woman? Let's go a little bit into her profile. So apparently she's buddies with none other than what's his name? Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince of Nowaristan, the La La Land, which is nowhere to be found on the map. So selfies with the Crown Prince of the La La Land, selfies with another deranged person. Somebody says Clown Prince, exactly. Another deranged person, Tommy Robinson, which is giving us some indications that she's embedded with the Zionist lobby. And by the way, Tommy Robinson, and I'm not on X, to tell you, how to say, I'm ratioing people. That's not my job on social media platforms, but I think I will make an exception for this piece of shit called I have done something for him. So basically he attacked our friend Mimi And look how he sexualized her. He says, this is what I call a 4 out of 10 or a 3 a.m. bird. This is your, if you like Tommy Robinson, this is your guy, guys. This is the piece of shit. You see, this is the guy who says we have to protect women. This is what he calls our friend Mimi, a 4 out of 10 or a 3 a.m. bird. And I told him, you are 5.6 feet. Sit your ass down, clown. So 7,300 likes, and his post has 4,400 likes. And some people say he's not even 5.6. He is faking his height. He is 5.4. In any ways, he is, I think, a small man. Whether he is high or he is tall or he is short, he is a small little puppet. And apparently this woman is also active on the Israeli press. This is from the Israeli Hayom. Iranian exile, regime uses mosques like Hamas does in Gaza. I am 191 centimeter. I don't know how many feet are 6.3 or 6.4 or 6.2. I don't know. Maybe you can do the calculation. So this is her, basically, and this is very new again. She published this article in Israel Hayom. And the article says, as protests against the Ayatollah regime intensify across Iran, hope is growing among Iranian exile for its overthrow and replacement with a democratic government. Before internet access was blocked over the weekend, their friends and relatives managed to share their fear of the regime's brutality and their hope for historic change. First things first, you can hate the Ayatollah government. Hate it as much as you like. I have nothing against it. But please don't tell me that you're doing this for the sake of democracy if your proposal is, or your candidate is, the crown prince of the, or the clown prince of the La La Land. How is it that you can argue both? Like, it's the same in Syria, right? In 2011, you're going to the street and you're saying you want an Islamic state, caliphate, and at the same time, on the mainstream press, you're saying, I want democracy. How is it possible that these both approaches would be like, how is it? Like, Islamic State is something, and we're not describing an Islamic State in a bad manner. Some people like Islamic State, and they like to live under Islamic State. Good for them. I personally, I don't like to live in an Islamic state. I like to live in a democratic state, which doesn't mean that the democratic state is better than the Islamic state. I'm not saying these things. Every person is raised, and it has a different upbringing. It has different values. Every person has different convictions, and they can form their opinions. Some people are simply indoctrinated, and they were born in certain place. And I was born in Syria, and I now outside of Syria. I think when I'm in Europe, for example, I prefer a democratic system. And I'm not saying that Europe is perfect democracy, because they are also trying to sabotage it here nowadays. Still, I haven't chosen to go and live in an Islamic state. And our opinions regarding Iran and any other state is based on geopolitics. We hear geopolitical channel. However, all I'm saying is that if you're someone who opposes the Islamic State or Islamic Republic of Iran and its Islamic character, and say that you're doing it out of love for democracy, and your candidate and your solution is Clown Prince Reza Pahlavi, then you are dishonest. Just like these so-called rebels and so-called democratic activists in Syria who ironed our brains for over 14 years telling us that they're doing it for democracy. And once they came to power, you see what they're doing nowadays, right? They have established another dictatorship. And this is similar thing is going to happen in Iran. In any ways, this woman also goes in length and says that the Islamic regime in Iran, this is her own words, they have brought terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, similar to Hezbollah and Hamas, to murder Iranian people. Complete range, like she's making up lots of stuff. And she also says, like, justifying burning down the mosques in Iran by saying that the IRGC is using the mosques as a hub for terrorists. And this is similar to Hamas using mosques in Gaza for terror. Like, when you use all these terminologies and you're using this rhetoric, it's quite clear that you come from a Zionist background, right? Very clear, in my opinion. And I just want to also quickly just search in her profile, because some people said that, this is not her. Chinky Uyghur. So what was her name again? She basically said in one of her posts that she is a proud Zionist. Goldie, let's see, Goldie. I even forgot her name because she's irrelevant anyways. So she is live now on her X account if you are so interested in learning something about this persona. Zionist. So, oh wow, now I found. So she's a Zionist. She says she's a Zionist. Look what she says. And this is her with this also Israeli flag here. And she says, I'm not an Israeli. I'm not Jewish. I'm Iranian. I'm proud Zionist. So this is your guy. This is the woman Piers Morgan hosted to try to, trap Professor Marandi. Guys, this week we have heard like really ridiculous propaganda about Iran. And I always try to be very careful and really try to tell you, like, we're not doing this to defend the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're doing that because we despise propaganda and we are trying to expose the lies aimed at manufacturing basically consent for war against Iran, right? I just have to fix I think it's too much the other side. Yeah, that's better. Now I'm in the middle. I feel like there was something wrong. So this is one of the websites which the mainstream press is heavily relying on to report the alleged news that the IRGC has killed, according to this website, guys. It's called Iran International. According to this website, the IRGC killed between 12 to 20,000 Iranians in the past 2 weeks. I'm sure that somebody really has to present some evidence for it if you're claiming such things. Remember, at the beginning of the stream, Donald Trump has spoken and he said, the reports are bad, we don't know the numbers. And if there was 12,000, if there was 20,000 people killed in Iran, do you really think that Trump would have said we don't know the concrete numbers? They know it's bullshit. And we have seen also many, many incidences of these rioters and also terrorists attacking public infrastructure, killing people, sniping people using AK-47s, decapitations. There's so many incidences. And I'm not saying the IRGC or the police haven't killed Iranians. But trying to portray this as a peaceful protest, and then the IRGC is coming and killing peaceful protesters, mass killing, 20,000 is like you don't even have a place to bury them. You have to show us the evidence, right? And because they don't show us an evidence, we do our own research. So what is this Iran International? Who owns the Iran International? What is this Iran International? Has anybody done a very small research about this Iran International? So I did. Iran International, my friends, is not just another Persian language news outlet, as they try to claim. Excuse me. Iran International has a very specific political economy behind it, or financing. And that matters if you care about accuracy on Iran, right? This Iran International channel is widely reported to operate under a UK company. It is in the UK anyways, but it operates under a company called Volant Media. And serious reporting, including by major Western outlets, has raised questions about who Saudi-linked funding structures and offshore arrangements connected to the project. So this Volant Media, which is Iran International, so there is this mother company called Volant Media, and under this mother company operates the Iran International. And this Volant Media is tied, and there are lots of reports about it, even in the mainstream press, that they're receiving funding from Saudi Arabia. Of course, the outlet denies being state-backed, but the core point is very simple. This is a media outlet, and this is a media operation, let's say, a PSYOP, targeting Iran and the Iranian people. And this media outlet is financially and structurally tied to actors from a rival regional power ecosystem, and that is Saudi Arabia. So basically, you're not really looking at neutral journalism. You're looking at what we call influence media. And when we understand that this is an influence media, we know that this type of influence media outlets can publish sometimes real information. That's not the issue. The issue is the selection of the news and the framing of the news and the incentives behind the news. They always tend to amplify the most destabilizing narratives. They give privileged treatment to exile networks and anonymous sourcing, and they always push events in Iran through a single political lens. And this is maximum pressure on the Iranian government, try to instigate maximum crisis inside Iran, and try to push maximum regime fracture messaging. That doesn't mean everything is fake, but it means definitely that you should treat this outlet like you treat wartime propaganda. Something you can monitor, not something you can trust. So if you see a dramatic claim, 12,000 people has been killed on this Iran International, you should treat it with a grain of salt. We have to do cross-check it with multiple independent sources, primary statements, and also reporting on the ground. And it is not a coincidence that this channel receives, first of all, is based in the UK and receives funding from Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is a rival country for Iran in the region. So we have to little bit shed light on what is happening now in the region. Basically, Trump's envoy met with this clown prince of Iran. That's not the big news. But the bigger news is that Iran warned countries of the region that it will strike American military bases in those countries, especially the Persian Gulf monarchies, in case of an American attack on Iranian soil. And this is a senior Iranian official telling Reuters. I don't know if this is true or not, but Marandi posted this news and said that we have to take it seriously, right? So the official told Reuters that Tehran has told regional countries from Saudi Arabia and UAE to Turkey that US bases in those countries will be attacked if America targets Iran, asking these countries to prevent Washington from attacking Iran. Now, in the same context, again, America advised personnel, his military personnel, to leave Qatar base as Iran tensions rise. And this is from Israeli Home. 3 diplomats disclosed to Reuters that advisory notices were issued to specific personnel to depart the U.S. military Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar by Wednesday evening amid a potential Iranian retaliation to a presumed US strike in support of anti-regime protesters. So also the news is that American officials, or the Pentagon probably, have asked some of its personnel in Al Udeid airbase to leave. Because if an attack happens, they will definitely use Qatari airspace for refueling and probably also departing from Qatar to attack against Iran. And therefore, the former foreign minister of Qatar, Mohammad bin Jassim, was quick to post on X and say, basically, that any military action against Iran will not be in the interest of America's friends in the region and will not be in the interest of stability in the region. There should be a unified Gulf position, if possible, to try to persuade America to enter into serious and short negotiations to end this crisis and tension. Any action that contributes to destabilizing Iran will also lead to chaos whose results we don't know. We differ with Iran on many matters, but dialogue is the way to resolve these differences. And I would assume, if I want to connect the dots, because this is what we do on this channel. At the beginning, we watched and we heard Trump basically say, like, he's keeping the door open for Iran. He's keeping the door open for a compromise. And this is what I have argued on this channel. And I said that I believe this maximum pressure by the United States against Iran is a Trump strategy to persuade Iran for a compromise. And this compromise is not a type of compromise that many people think that the Americans would be satisfied with. What the Americans would be satisfied with is a change, behavioral change inside Iran, to the extent that there is no longer an Islamic revolutionary government there, let's say. And that is a regime change in essence, but not in the Syria style, not in the Libya style, and not in the Iraq style, but more like the Venezuela style. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. All I'm saying is, if there are rational actors in the United States, this is what they're probably thinking now. And I'm not saying they're all rational, because at the end of the day, all what we are talking here could just go in vain if the Americans attack Iran or Israel attacks Iran and then Iran retaliates and there is a big regional war in the region. If there are people with sanity in the United States, they wouldn't start a war with Iran. This is all what I'm saying. They would try to reach to many and enough political, security, and military personnel inside Iran in a bid to try to find a compromise. But the compromise Americans are asking, or they're aspiring in Iran, is unacceptable for the Islamic Revolutionary Republic and probably many people in Iran, right? So it is a really difficult situation. I'm not going to say which path we are headed toward, but I still believe that this maximum pressure, all this rhetoric, hysteria that we have seen in the past 2 weeks about Iran is aimed at exerting maximum pressure on the leadership in Iran in order to find a solution and in order to cut a compromise. But this compromise, if the Americans were successful, practically means a regime change without doing regime change, if that makes sense, right? I'm not promoting any solution here. I'm just saying this is what probably the Americans are thinking. And as our moderator says, please leave a like as you're watching this channel. Now I will check the video on YouTube. 880 people are watching this stream live. And if we're gonna see 455 people have liked it. So half the people already liked the video, half the people maybe didn't like the video. But if you guys like the video and liking this stream, I would really appreciate it if you guys hit the like button and subscribe to Syriana Analysis. So now that this Mohammad bin Jassim is pretending that they don't want a war against Iran, but at the same time, remember what they're doing in the region. They're also building US CENTCOM launches defense cooperation cell in Qatar. So this is very new, by the way. This is on the January 14th. So this today. The U.S. Central Command and regional partners opened a new coordination cell at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar to strengthen integrated air and missile defense. The Middle Eastern Air Defense Combined Defense Operations Cell, located within the Combined Air Operations Center, brings together personnel from the United States and regional partners. So what they're basically doing here is building defense or improving and boosting the defense infrastructure of the US and their allies in the region inside Qatar. And who is the enemy at the end of the day here? It's Iran, right? So all these countries, also in the Persian Gulf countries, they say, we don't want war against Iran, we don't want chaos in the region, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, they are enabling the war and they are giving the ground for the United States to advance against Iran. This is the fact. I was intending on showing you some videos today as well. I will maybe show you just few. So, for example, Mario Naufal is participating in this hysteria against Iran. Of course, I'm not surprised at all. But look at this guy. Let's start from the beginning. He says, guys, I just arrived in Turkey. I truly want to know if this guy is an actor, because he's like Mirage official. Like, who is this guy? Mirage official, let's say. Because to be honest with you, I don't think somebody has just left Iran was wearing these piercings and those earrings. So yeah, he's probably an actor with 50,000. So where does this guy even live? I truly don't know. But it doesn't look like he lives in Iran. So this is the guy, basically. Let's continue. But you know what I'm trying to say here. Like, this is one of the videos that they have published. But now that I do some investigation, it's not even investigation, just checking his Instagram account. Does this really look like in Iran to you? Do you really think that this guy just left Iran? This is a recent photo, by the way. 5 weeks ago. So I want to see, so this is the video he published. Let's see the one which is probably like this one 3 weeks ago. Is this in Iran? This is in the UK. The guy who's taking the photo is from the UK. So I truly do not believe this guy at all, that he just left left Iran for Turkey and they're killing people everywhere, children, kids, women, etc., etc., etc. What I can really tell you is there is a really effort, basically. And our friend Patrick Henningsen, if you like to see and go and check his reporting, like you can see there's so many videos like this. Look, they have even got the Backstreet Boys getting in on the act. US and Israel are spending a fortune paying all these influencers reading the same script, telling egregious lies whilst talking up the war on Iran. It's so pathetic.
I think a lot of people owe Israel an apology. We do all remember how the world treated Israel when Israel was warning about Iran's nuclear capability, right? We do remember the 12-day war, right? Well, what we're seeing right now in Iran, the protests, the internet shutdowns, and all the killings is what comes after. For years, Israel warned the world about exactly this regime while being told, oh no, you're exaggerating, you're fear-mongering, you're manipulating people emotionally to drag us into wars that aren't needed. You see, during the 12-day war, the United States and Israel did not escalate with Iran. They revealed Iran's weakness. Iran's air defenses.
So boring. So boring. There are so many of these guys nowadays. This is the 7,000 club, by the way. It's so obvious. This is another one.
The equivalent of 4 9/11s have happened in Iran in just the last 4.
12,000 Iranians killed update. What is the source of this? What is the source? Trust me,
For
bro.
days. For context, the death toll of the last 3 years of the Russia-Ukraine war stands at 14,500. The number.
So they're peddling it as a truth. You can go and watch all these videos on Patrick Henningson's page. He's selecting them and showing us the propaganda, basically. And this is another creepy Erica Kirk vibes with this one. The Zionist propagandist has got a few extra layers of war paint on.
Before we go, I wanted to bring you an email that I received. And this is something that made me quite emotional, which might be a surprise. Yes, I don't care. People say, oh, you cry. No, yes, I cry. I cry a lot, but I laugh a lot and I feel a lot and I'm passionate and I get angry a lot and I get happy a lot and I don't care. I don't ever want to lose that. I don't want to become so jaded that I don't feel anything. So yes, when there are people dying, when people are suffering, I get emotional because I care deeply and I'll never stop.
Okay, so this woman is very emotional and she doesn't like people getting killed. So let's check how many times she reported about the children in Gaza, maybe Gaza? Because that should be something, right? Oh. 0 times. I'm so tired of these people. Like, who's paying them 7,000, man? I'm doing this. I do how many live streamings on this show? I do 5 live streamings per week. So we have 20 live streamings per month. And we don't make anywhere close to $7,000. That's 20 hours of content per minimum per month. If you appreciate this work, guys, and you would like to support Syriana Analysis, this independent work I'm doing here, you can become a patron. The link is scrolling on the screen, patreon.com/Syriana Analysis, or you could simply scan this QR code and it will send you to the Patreon page. Some people say they don't like to use Patreon, and so I made other means possible for you. You have Buy Me Coffee, you have PayPal. You can also become simply premium member of Syriana Analysis and support this independent work. Now I will finish this live streaming and I will send a message to Mohammad, Dr. Mohammad Marandi, and I will invite him tomorrow to come to the show. I don't know if we can do that live. I will try to do that live, of course, because of the internet situation there, but stay tuned for that. I will send him now on Telegram and I will ask him if he is available tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central European Time, 11 a.m. Eastern American Time. As our moderator says, drop a like before you leave. Thank you so much, brother Red Access, for moderating the live chat. I will definitely send him a message now, and let's see. If we can do that tomorrow, that would be great. So peace be upon you guys and upon your families. Salam.